Okay, we've all been there, right? Sitting through a presentation that's just dense, confusing, or maybe just plain boring. Well, today we're going to flip that script. We're diving into a playbook for taking any complex idea and making it crystal clear, engaging, and memorable for any audience. Let's get into it. You know that feeling. I mean, you're 10 minutes in, the slides are just a wall of text, the speaker's kind of rambling, and you can feel your brain just checking out. It is so frustrating. The good news, we're about to break down exactly how to make sure your presentations never, ever feel like that. So, first things first, let's start with the absolute foundation, the core mindset behind any great explanation. Before you even think about your slides or what you're going to say, you have to be totally clear on your mission. And that mission, as you see right here, isn't to persuade anyone of anything, it's simply to teach. And this definition really boils it all down. An informative presentation has one job, and one job only: to teach and to explain. The only thing that matters, the only metric for success, is whether your audience walks away knowing something they didn't know before, or maybe understanding it in a much clearer way. That's it. That is the entire goal. This comparison makes the distinction so clear. On the left, you've got the informative speaker. Their goal is to be a teacher, to hand over knowledge. But on the right, the persuasive speaker is trying to change minds, to push the audience in a new direction. Your role here is to be that guide, that teacher, not a salesperson. Resisting that urge to persuade and just focusing completely on clarity, that's the first huge step. Okay, so we've established our goal is to teach, but how do we actually do that? What does that look like in practice? This brings us to our core toolkit, 3 simple, powerful methods you can use to explain pretty much anything. And what I love about this is just how simple and intuitive these methods really are. First up, you've got description. You're literally painting a picture with words, kind of like a server making a dish sound absolutely irresistible. Then there's demonstration. You're not just telling, you are showing. Think about a trainer walking you through new software step by step. And finally, explanation. This is where you take a really complex, tangled up idea and make it simple and clear. All right, this next part tackles what is probably the biggest hurdle for most speakers. You've got all the right info, you know your method, but how do you actually deliver it without your audience's eyes glazing over? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple. It is all about structure. And this right here, this is the challenge, isn't it? It's like walking a tightrope. If you just dump a mountain of information on your audience, they're going to get overwhelmed and just check out. But if you give them too little detail, they're left confused and frustrated. The real art is finding that perfect sweet spot right in the middle. So the solution is to give them a roadmap. I mean, think about it. You would never start a long road trip without a map or your GPS, right? So why would you ask your audience to follow you on an intellectual journey without one? Giving them that structure right up front builds their confidence in you and makes everything that follows so much easier to understand. And this roadmap, it's a classic for a reason. It just flat out works. You start with a clear intro where you basically tell them where you're going. Then you walk them through your organized main points. That's the journey itself. And you finish strong with a memorable summary, reminding them of the key things they saw along the way. Simple, but incredibly powerful. So we have our goal to teach. We have our methods, describe, demonstrate, or explain, and we have our structure, the roadmap. But there is one final crucial piece that ties it all together. And honestly, it's probably the most important of all: knowing your audience. This right here is the golden rule. It doesn't matter how brilliant your content is. If it's way over their heads or if it's too basic and they feel like you're talking down to them, you've lost them. The whole game is about calibration. It's about finding out exactly where your audience is and meeting them right there. And this example just makes the point perfectly. Look, if you're talking to a wine expert, a sommelier, you can get into all the technical stuff, right? You can talk about tannins, terroir, and acidity. But if you're talking to a friend who's new to wine, you're going to use simple, relatable words like smooth, bold, and hey, it goes really well with steak. Same topic, but a completely different language. That is adaptation in action. All right, let's bring it all home. Let's distill everything we've talked about down to its essence. If you're going to remember just a few things from this entire playbook, what should they be? Let's put it all together. Success in this kind of speaking really comes down to these 3 pillars. Number 1, be clear. Remember, your job is to teach. Number 2,
Be organized. Always give your audience that roadmap. And number 3, be audience-centered. You have to adapt your message to them. If you get those 3 things right, you're golden. And the payoff from mastering this is huge, because these skills pop up everywhere in our professional lives. Whether you're training a new team member, presenting data to your boss, or walking a client through a new idea, the principles are exactly the same. Being able to communicate with clarity makes you an absolutely invaluable asset.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to take with you. Now that you have this playbook, think for a second about the most confusing, complicated, or just misunderstood idea in your world. Could be at work, could be a hobby, anything. What is it? And how can you be the one to finally make it clear?